In 2009, David Cameron said that being a Member of Parliament must be a full-time commitment, and that double-jobbing MPs won't get to look in when I'm in charge. The topic of MPs in their second jobs came under scrutiny again recently, after famous politicians Jack Straw and Malcolm Rifkin were secretly filmed offering to accept money for influencing political decisions. Labour proposed a ban on second jobs soon after, which has since been rejected. So, should MPs be allowed second jobs? David Cameron's Conservatives now say yes. He believes that having MPs with outside interests makes for a stronger Parliament. Alan Duncan says that Labour want to sanitise politics. Their belief is that banning second jobs will cut off the connection between MPs and their people. I disagree. Why does an MP need a second job? A recent survey showed that 74% of people disagree with the idea that a second job keeps an MP in touch with ordinary people. And as for the belief that they aren't paid enough, they earn around £65,000 a year, more than double the average wage. As Steve Rotherham said, that's a king's ransom to a lot of the people they represent. In failing to ban second jobs, a great opportunity to eliminate corruption in the Commons was missed. The people of Britain will continue to feel distrust and suspicion towards politicians. And most wrong of all, David Cameron has broken the promise he made those 6 years ago. Although he thinks he's united Parliament and the people, he's instead detached it further from those it represents.
An article on IFLScience.com states that anti-vaccination beliefs can cause real, substantive harm, as shown by the recent outbreak of measles in the USA. Thousands of parents all over the world refuse to have their children vaccinated for one reason: a false sense of security. However many celebrities or magazine editors or next-door neighbours may tell you about a scientifically discovered link between vaccines and autism, it is not true. And yes, we all know that a scientist named Andrew Wakefield once came up with a theory saying that there was a relationship between the vaccine and autism. And we all know that Andrew Wakefield was a medical researcher and therefore must have been right. But not all of us know, or should I say accept, that this theory was disproved 10 years ago. And of course, I realise that you will set up a counter-argument suggesting the correlation between autism and the vaccines. But this is something I like to call coincidence. It's sort of like me observing who eats ice cream and their height. And however much the data tells me that taller people prefer ice cream, it's a coincidence. Not only are anti-vaxxers endangering the lives of their own young children, they are also endangering the lives of everyone else who cannot get the vaccine for whatever legitimate reason. Now, death, that's a different concept, isn't it? And now I'm going to leave you anti-vaxxers to think about the vaccines and the idea that they work when everyone has them. So there is no need to think that science is wrong and that your child is special and doesn't need a vaccine, because science is right and they do need a vaccine. And if those methods don't make you reconsider vaccinating your child, I will have to resort to bribing or some other method of torture. Thank
you. G.K. Chesterton once said, "The most sacred thing is to be able to shut our own door." But just think for 1 second if that right was taken away from us. Just think, what if it is as we speak? Our privacy is just slowly being torn away. The door is being opened, our lives invaded when we least expect it. Amazon knows your bank details. Snapchat knows what you look like. Facebook can recreate a 3D image of your house. All that it takes is one person with your password to turn your world upside down, to parade your secrets, to put your details on display, and make you as vulnerable as a toddler. Just think, is that the future that you want? It could happen at any moment to anyone. Of course, the internet has opened a wide range of opportunities, and many of those opportunities require some information. But in this situation, trust is vital. And too many people, both young and old, are giving details without thinking. When it comes to passwords, just imagine for 1 second that you had just installed a new lock on your house, and that lock had one peg in it to secure your house. That's what a password is like. The longer your password is, the longer the key is for that lock. And your password is the key to your privacy. So please, keep the key hidden.
The ISIS is a jihadist group based in Afghanistan, some parts of Syria and northern Iraq. They have connections to Al-Qaeda. Their goal is to enforce their traditional Islamic views on people living in these regions and beyond. They are attempting to do this through violence, but what has this got to to do with us, you may ask. But ISIS are attempting and succeeding in brainwashing Muslims in the UK through social media. It's estimated 2,000 Muslims have joined the ISIS. That is twice as many served in the armed forces. They argue that they are fighting for God and that their way of life is the right way for true Muslims. They are targeting the young and disaffected youth who feel alienated. Unfortunately, they are being helped by the media's portrayal of Islam being a terrorist religion, and this has led to high unemployment rates in the Muslim youth. Islamophobia has risen significantly in the past 10 years. The media and government need to educate non-Muslims and Muslims alike. It's slowly through an education that explores the complex issues without bias can we hope to counter the ISIS propaganda.
Good afternoon. Today I am here to present my opinion about Malala Yousafzai. We all know who is Malala Yousafzai. She is honored with the Nobel Peace Prize, are only 17 and given a citizenship in Canada. Malala is a true life hero because even though she had to face so much danger in her life, she still kept fighting for women's rights. The British government should support her cause for the education of girls in Pakistan by putting more pressure on the Pakistan government and by trading some of the money we give to government setting up girls' school in rural area of Pakistan. If the British government do not act, the sacrifices she had made and the dangers she had faced will have been pointless. Malala was shot in her temple. Luckily, she survived. If the Pakistan government don't do anything for girls in school, all her hard work and bravery will have been wasted. Thank you.
Is terrorism used as an excuse for Islamophobia? Islamophobia is on the rise not only in the UK but throughout the world. It is pure prejudice which I believe is nothing but ignorance. Who is to blame? The media, organisations such as the EBL, or simply Muslims? The Islamophobes believe that Islam teaches all its followers to be aggressive and violent, yet Malala Yousafzai and Anwar Sadat are Muslims who have received the Nobel Peace Prize. They are Muslims who are still fighting for peace, equality, tolerance and fairness. Many have raised the arguments that horrific acts such as suicide bombing and jihad were committed by non-Muslims. However, appalling acts were committed by non-Muslims too. Irish terrorism killed more than 3,500 people, whilst the Basques killed more than 1,000. Do we then say that all Irish people and all Basque people are terrorists to be feared? In fact, the Prime Minister of the Irish government said that they were freedom fighters, while Muslims were immediately labelled terrorists. I say that terrorism has no religion. You could be a Christian, Jew, or an atheist and still be a terrorist. Stereotyping all Muslims is simply unfair, unthinking, and Islamophobic. It is like holding back a whole class behind after one student has misbehaved. Britain is a multicultural country. We should be proud of how we have embraced people of all nationalities and faiths. Now, in a moment of fear and uncertainty, it is time to celebrate our multiculturalism.
Sorry.
Okay.
An Indian educated lawyer stated he had never come across a single incident of rape involving a respectable lady. So how is this possible when 33,000 cases of rape were reported in India in 2013? Is he suggesting that these 33,000 women are not respectable? And anyway, since when did lacking respectability become a permission for rape? Political parties are also insensitive towards this. They simply state that boys make mistakes and call rape accidental. Since when is forcing rape, sex on women an accident? These attitudes are held by most of society, particularly in men. So if the majority of society thinks it's okay to treat women in this way, then how can we accept rape to be met with justice? The British government needs to place pressure on the Indian government to legislate further against rape. As Britain provides India with so much money,
It has the influence to do this. Furthermore, there are many Indian communities across the country, so the British government should support the Indian community in realising women's rights both here and in India. Equality between both genders should be expected. Never again should an Indian lawyer be able to argue that rape is acceptable if a woman does not conform to his notions of respectability. Thank you.
Question: have you ever been blamed for something that you haven't done? It's aggravating, isn't it? The event of 9/11 thrust Islam into a global media forefront, causing its image to change drastically in the eyes of the world. Take the so-called Islamic State. When hearing those words, what comes to mind? Terrorism? Blaming the population of Islam on the unlawful acts carried out by one extremist group is a fundamental mistake made by people. They depict a very small percentage of the Muslim community. Their actions should not be the reason for mass hatred of religion. This is not Islamic, this is inhumane. Islam is a definition of peace. It infuriates me that we are categorized under this one group. And there are other extremist groups also, groups such as the KKK, who are Christian-based terrorist group. But they are not continually shown in the media for their violent actions, and you wouldn't say that they represent all Christians. Well, would you? Another media stereotype involves the portrayal of Muslim women. These women are often presented as inferior victims within marriage and also in society. Do I look like a victim of patriarchy? But this is incorrect. In Islam, it's taught that we are all equal. It is the truth. Being a British Muslim female myself, I do not feel that I am dominated by male domination. To conclude, Islam is not a violent or barbaric religion. If we are informed by a reliable source, that's when we will do the right thing. It's when we are not that we become hostages to prejudice.
How do we get youth like me involved and engaged with politics? The youth need role models, and politicians can be those role models. They are good, honest, hard-working people. They always know what's right for us. That's what they empower, isn't it? How true is that exactly? If I was to behave like the politicians when they are taking part in the Prime Minister's questions at school, I would like to be sent out the classroom. Just watch any Prime Minister's questions on a Wednesday afternoon and see how immature and childish the politicians behave. They do not listen to the questions being asked and answer not the question, but something to mock the opposition. They shout and jeer. Are these the leaders we are supposed to look up to? What if I was to evade questions like the politicians and answer however I like to? I'm sure I wouldn't do well at school and look like a fool. Prime Minister's questions seem to be just point scoring rather than addressing serious issues and questions. In interviews I've watched, MPs don't answer the question but talk about what they want to. I'm only 12, not that familiar with politics, and yet when I think about the politicians I have a negative image. Politicians to me come across as untrustworthy leaders. Not that long ago, the MP's expenses scandal saw a large number of politicians jailed. After the event of the scandal, 4 MPs and 2 peers were sent to prison for fiddling expenses, leading to the astonishing statistic that in 2011, while 0.13% of the population was in jail, a shocking 0.61% of the House of Commons members were in prison. How is that even possible? How can we accept this? MPs seem to be more interested in fighting between themselves than actually representing us. Wouldn't their time and our money paying them to do their job be better spent discussing real issues? Thank you for listening.
Immigration. Immigration is the action of coming to live permanently in a foreign country. As you know, immigration is an issue that is currently debated in modern day society, and I for one support it. Immigration has been a relative topic that has been vigorously debated on in the past couple of years, and groups such as UKIP have emerged to have promoted the disadvantages of it. Modern day Britain revolves around immigration, whether through sports and entertainment, cuisine, healthcare, and economy. For example, the curry being one of the favourite dishes of UK. Overseas players in the Premier League, such as Hazard. Many Asian doctors in the healthcare industry. The history of Britain has also been affected by immigration, such as many kings and queens who have ruled England without being English. Immigration does have its disadvantages though. Greater poverty, increasing crimes, lower unskilled wage, education costs, and a few others. However, the positive benefits of immigration totally outweigh the disadvantages. Therefore, let us welcome change and welcome the benefits that immigration provides the country. What many people do not understand is that the lifestyle of Britain has been dictated by immigration, is being dictated by immigration, and will be dictated by immigration. Thank you.
This really shows the influence that the media has on politics and society in general. In 1992, the Sun published a headline which stated, "If Kinnock wins today, with the last person to leave Britain, please turn the lights out." At this point, the Labour Party was on course to win the election. However, after this, the Tories won by a landslide. Why was this? Did one article and one headline really sway the opinion of the vast majority? The simple answer is yes. So who won the election, I ask you? Was it the Conservative Party, or was it Rupert Murdoch and the Sun newspaper? This really shows the effect the media can have on politics and society in general. The media will always play a huge role in society. However, for them to shape our feelings and thoughts are blatantly wrong. We cannot just sit back and not think about it and understand what we're being told. Or we're always going to remain passive and not think, or we're always going to remain passive and believe everything a few people tell us.
Surely, 16-year-olds should be allowed to vote, living in what is supposedly a democratic country. But if this is a democratic country, then why are 1.5 million 16 to 17-year-olds being deprived of a vote? At the age of 16, you can leave school, get an apprenticeship, you can work, pay income tax, national insurance, get married, have sexual relationships, become a member of a trade union, and join the armed forces. But you can't vote. It's absolutely ludicrous that a 16-year-old can fight for his country, protect its citizens, and sacrifice his life for his country, but he can't vote. Numerous decisions being made on someone else's behalf which affects us, but we still don't have a say on it. Even though these decisions have a huge impact on our future, such as our GCSEs, which was changed by Michael Gove without consulting the people actually taking their GCSEs. Not only that, but taxes, tuition fees, university fees, which we are forced to pay without having a say on it. That seems fair. Imagine if it was your family, your career, your future, that decisions were being made about without consulting you or your viewpoint on it. How would you feel? Well, that's how we feel. And ending on this note, if you say the youth are the future, then why are the youth not allowed to have a vote for their future? Give us the vote.
Let's push away the idea that voting doesn't matter. It never changes anything. We have changed our country for the better, and with another 5 years we can change it still more. 5 years? What if we don't have 5 years? What is going to change in 5 years that can't change tomorrow? David Cameron has promised many things. For example, he promised former defence advisor more money on defence spending once the economy improves. I repeat, once the economy improves. Has it not been improving for the last couple of years? The people that protect our country, protect me and you, deserve to have whatever they need. They risk their lives to keep us safe, showing the strongest courage. Now, an average person in the army makes around £18,000 a year, yet someone in politics earns far more. It's unfair that someone who puts their life in danger earns less than someone who is more focused on whether or not Morrison's profit has been at its worst for the past 8 years. I speak for everyone around me. We want to be safe. We want to know that we are protected, and to get that assurance we need to know that we are giving the people that protect us what they need. NATO requests Mr Cameron spends just 2% on defence spending. He says he can try but can't make any promises. He can try. How can something so vital to our country isn't getting the attention it needs? The UK is on severe alert for terrorism. What if one day we are surprised by a terrorist attack? We won't be ready, because Mr Cameron has pushed his issue aside. Prince Harry left the army last week. He has an opportunity that as servicemen and women do not. People risk their lives every day. For what? To have endless cuts made to their profession? I say we act now.
Today I'm here to talk about gay rights in the UK. This is directed at the Education Secretary, Nicky Morgan. I support gay rights and would like to offer another viewpoint to the people that do not see the whole picture. I believe school policies should be strengthened and more should be done actively to ensure gay rights in school is a priority. Something as simple as posters and other information around school could quickly reduce the amounts of discrimination in schools towards gay or bisexual people. More exposure to information educates, which may lead to safer and more inclusive environments. Recently I have witnessed a lot of homophobia in the public and in school. Many of this is from people that simply do not understand what they are saying. Some do not even know what it is. This is disappointing. I believe that young and easily influenced people are being given this biased and discriminative opinion. People as young as 8 years of age using the term gay as an insult and means of verbally assaulting other people. Is this not equivalent to racism? One of my favourite philosophers, Jean-Paul Sartre, once said, "Man is condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does." Gay people should be free, not oppressed because someone has a different opinion on them. And men and women that discriminate should be responsible for actions and not excused. Nearly half the LGBT population considers suicide because of the bullying and abuse they received for simply being different from others. Mrs. Morgan, can I suggest you tackle the problem of casual homophobia in school? Help LGBT children feel part of society and not excluded. Encourage more gay role models in sport, for example. Celebrate diversity, empower people to see difference as a good and positive thing. Provide information for those parents that pass their biases onto young, impressionable minds. I had a friend over the internet who was transsexual and was bullied to a point where he ended his own life. I say enough is enough. Sort this issue out before more people are lost.
Tony Blair's slogan, education, 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 inspired voters. Despite promises in Article 26 of the UN Declaration of Human Rights, being signed by many worldwide leaders, education is not a reality for many. The war in Syria devastates human lives. Children who had dreams of becoming doctors and lawyers, their dreams have been shattered. The UN claims there have been over 10,000 attacks in schools. This is outrageous. Schools do no harm, they educate, build futures. This issue is worse when we realise that British children do not value education, taking what we have for granted. Worse, still some are leaving their dreams behind to fight in Syria, choosing to abandon the rights they have been given. I question what is happening in Syria. President Assad, you are more concerned with making war than saving education. There's a real threat from IS, yet I feel you can work with world leaders in a more positive way to help combat terrorist organisations. I know there are ongoing issues in your country and that education isn't a trend, but may I suggest you see the potential in Syrian youth. After all, the war started when innocent pupils spoke against your government. Rather than support freedom of speech, you choose to punish and censor. I speak today, not for myself, but for those who plead for an education. With such a diverse city as Leicester, we should prioritise refugee cases. My message is to you, British students, be thankful for your education. And President Assad, listen to young people, start to create futures, work with young people, not against them. Make education your weapon to change the world. Commit to Article 26. Let's continue to educate, continue to learn, and continue to change.
We live in a democratic country where we have the right to vote for whoever we want. Something we should consider as a privilege, as there are many countries who do not follow this democratic process. So, why vote? In the 1800s, only 5% of the 10 million people could vote. Thanks in part to the work of the suffragettes, from 1969, all men and women over the age of 18 became eligible to take part. Unfortunately, many of us ask the question, why bother? Why not be the 35% who didn't take part in the last general election? Why not? Because it matters that we do. If we don't vote, then those in power will only serve the small proportion of voters who put them there. Do you agree on a VAT increase? What about reducing university tuition fees? Or it might be putting a cap on the annual immigration. Whatever it is, voting gives you the power to choose how the UK is run. Your views can be expressed by choosing the candidate who suits your perspective. Do you dream about our country being ruled by a legitimate government? If so, with less than 45 days until the general election, I believe everyone eligible should go and vote. Our country's future is in your hands. Vote for a better tomorrow. Thank you.